Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we'll be talking about Patreon microloans or cash advances, only advertising for companies that you personally believe in or would personally use, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around. Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome back to episode 204 of the BSP. My name is Bandrew. This is what I says. Like always, in the episode notes, there are timestamps of everything that I talk about, so you can skip around and save a few minutes. But if you got the time, I would appreciate you checking out the entire episode. If you do want a different version of the show, audio or video, you can find that at bandrewsays.com. And if you want other educational podcasts, geeksrising.com. Let's go ahead and start with a piece of news that I find somewhat disconcerting, to say the least. Patreon is rolling out cash advances, or as they are marketing them, something like microloans. This is coming out of a new division or maybe a subsidiary titled Patreon Capital. Not really sure on the corporate structure there, but what this will do is allow creators that have a proven track record of income on Patreon to take cash advances on their future earnings. Now, as you would imagine, this is not going to be a free service. This is something that Patreon is rolling out to help creators, but also make money. That's why these lending companies exist. So let's say you take out a cash advance of $100. You might end up having to pay $105 or $110 or $150 in the future, depending on the terms and conditions of that specific loan. On that note, they have not disclosed any kind of terms for this cash advance, so we don't know if the cost will be similar to cash advances on credit cards or if they'll be more favorable. To get a good idea of what a cash advance might cost, I went to creditcards.com, which discloses standard cash advance costs. I don't know why I keep doing air quotes, but that's what this article on creditcards.com shares with us. It shares that there is an average interest rate of 23.68%, which is 8% higher than the national average credit card interest rate, as well as a 5% fee on the amount withdrawn, or the cash advance amount, or $10, whichever of those two rates is higher. For the ease of this example, I want to stick with the $100 cash advance just to make the calculations a little bit easier. So we will say you take out $100. First thing we'll do is $100 times 5%. What does that give us? That gives us $5. Which is higher, $5 or $10? That means that regardless of how much you take out, the minimum fee you will be paying is $10. Therefore, once you take out that $100 cash advance, now you owe that company back $110 before any interest has been accrued or compounded. Now, because I am somewhat of a finance nerd, being that that's what my master's degree is in, I did a bunch of math and I tried to simplify it as much as possible. I didn't want to do continuous compounding. I didn't want to do monthly or weekly compounding, and I landed on daily compounding of the interest. And if you were to pay back $100 at month 1 and the remaining balance at the end of month 2, it would have cost you 12.47% to get $100 30 days earlier than usual. So why am I sharing this with you? This isn't a finance podcast. This isn't a math podcast. So why do you care? Or why am I sharing this with you? Because I want to scare the crap out of you. I want to scare you out of using cash advances on your credit card or using Patreon, cash advance, Patreon Capital, whatever it's called. This should terrify you. 12.5% to get money lended to you for 2 months? That is a terrible position to be in, and that is an insanely high interest rate to pay over a 2-month period. Anything over 1.5% per month is insane. Even 1.5% per month is insane. You should not be willing to take out any loan with an interest rate that high. Now, the reason that this is important for creators is Being an online content creator can be very volatile, and sometimes money is short. Maybe the cash flow isn't in your favor. You need money today, but you don't get paid bi-weekly. You get paid once a month, and you don't get that money until 30 days in the future. I understand that it can be very difficult to be an online content creator because the payment structure isn't the same as a typical 9-to-5. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like a lot of creators have proper financial education, and therefore, if this is widely rolled out, I think some creators will end up viewing this as free money the same way so many people nowadays view credit card balances as free money. It's not free money. You have to pay it back, and you are paying handsomely for it. You are paying a crap ton of money to get access to that capital. Think of it this way. Let's say you take out a $100 cash advance on January 1st because you need that money. Now come January 31st, when you get the payout from Patreon from all of your subscribers and patrons on that service, you get that $100. Well, now you owe Patreon $100 plus interest and fees. You pay that $100. Now it is February 1st, and you have $0 to your name again. You don't have that money. So are you going to survive for 1 month on $0, or are you going to be in a position where you have to take out another cash advance? I know some of you are financially literate and financially smart, and you would say, I would never fall into that trap. I worked at a bank for a year and a half or 2 years. The amount of people I saw fall into this trap is insane. You should not be using cash advances or microloans that end up costing you 12% for 2 months just for day-to-day operation. This should be a last resort if you are in tremendous financial straits where you can't pay your rent or you can't pay to make a video, which would lead to more income. This is a last resort. I just want to clear the air and get this information and my opinion on it out there prior to it widely rolling out and prior to hearing a bunch of people going bankrupt because they thought that free money was falling from the sky from Patreon. Do not use this as a way to fund tomorrow's video unless it is absolutely essential, unless you are 199,000% sure that that video you're releasing tomorrow will bring in 10 times more than you're making by taking out a loan that costs you 12.5% for a month and a half or 2 months. It's ridiculous. I will link the HotPod News article that was announcing this, as well as the creditcard.com's cash advance breakdown of the fees and the average interest rates in the US. Hope that helped put your mind at ease and get you a little bit of information on this topic. And I hope it wasn't too boring talking about finance. I love this stuff. And quick side note, while I was working on the outline for this episode and I was researching the cash advanced rates, I unintentionally spent 30 minutes working on a spreadsheet developing how to calculate the proper cost of taking out these loans. It was so much fun. I love doing that stuff. It's so cool. Next piece of news. YouTube is rolling out smart replies in the comments. That is right. If you use Gmail, you may have seen this. When you get an email, at the bottom of the reply section, there are smart replies, which allow you to just click that button and then Google replies for you because they know you better than you know yourself. You don't have to type anything. Let Google type for you. That's what YouTube is rolling out in the comment section. Now, Google will look at the context of the comment and come up with 3 different options as beginnings to replies. In the example that I saw, somebody left a comment saying, "This was super helpful, thank you." And the smart reply options are, "Glad it was helpful," "So glad," or "You're so welcome." And if you click on one of these, it opens up the reply field to that comment, and that text is in the comment field, and then you can add on to that comment, type anything else you want, and click reply. And I think this is a neat feature, especially if you get a lot of comments that are just saying, "Hey, thanks a lot," or "Cool, good job." This gives you the opportunity to very quickly reply to all those comments. Yes, it is far less personal, but I love it because I am never going to reply to anyone ever again. Never again will I spend time replying to comments. Now, what I am waiting for is Google to roll out more advanced smart replies. So if somebody were to leave a comment saying, I'm having latency issues and audio dropout issues with the Focusrite 2i2 2nd Gen on an Asus motherboard XY90242, and the CPU is this. Now, if Google will give me the option to go out, search for an article discussing that issue, copy the text from that article, and post it in a smart reply, then we're talking. Then we are talking. If Google essentially allows me to Google stuff for people in the comments, oh, game changer. I would love that so much. I think it's an interesting idea. I don't think it's going to get much use, but it could be useful if you get a lot of comments and you want some illusion of you actually interacting with people. Just interact with them, you lazy bum. Next up, we have Twitter fighting misinformation. NBC News announced that Twitter is experimenting with community reporting, leading to limitation of tweet distribution and visibility. According to this article, disinformation or misleading information posted by public figures would be corrected directly beneath a tweet by fact-checkers and journalists who are verified on the platform, and possibly by other users who would participate in a new community reports feature. On the surface, this sounds amazing. Stopping misinformation, stopping lying from politicians, ensuring that the public is getting accurate and correct information. That's amazing, right? That's exactly what the world needs right now. But once you take a step back and look at the quality of discourse in the world, the holes in this idea really start to become apparent. Think about how many people on the left think everybody on the right is lying and they are arguing in bad faith. Then think about all the people on the right who think that everybody on the left is lying and arguing in bad faith. There are articles backing up both of those positions. Therefore, if somebody is verified and they don't like politician or journalist X, Y, or Z, they can find an article debunking that person they dislike and then get Twitter to derank that tweet, limit the visibility, limit the distribution. And that is how it could very easily be abused. So unless there is a huge shift in how these news agencies report on information, unless they completely remove their political leaning and any kind of favoritism to a certain party, I think this will fail miserably. Also, politicians, how frequently do they post about stuff that is simply a lie? Every single politician is a liar. They are just trying to say, this is what I'm going to do for you. I am going to fight against Equifax. Bandrew brings up Equifax again. I'm going to fight against Equifax and bring them down. And then nothing happens. That's a lie. That person needs to be deranked in your search results because they are fibbers. My grandmother taught me that fibbing is wrong. You do not fib. Politicians, my grandmother would be very disappointed in you, I am guessing. So perhaps we will start to see all politicians' tweets disappear from the Twitter algorithm. So on second thought, you know what? This is going to be amazing. No more politics on Twitter. I love this now because I love Twitter. I hate politics. If politics are removed from Twitter, oh, it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful place. I will link the NBC article if you want to read up a little bit more on this story. Next up, I want to go on a little bit of a rant, and this rant is focused on creators no longer advertising companies that they don't believe in or that do not have a proven track record. The reason I want to get this point across is recently there seems to be an increasing number of creators who have had their accounts hacked. And if I am not mistaken, this is due to those creators downloading a VPN or an antivirus software that an advertiser wants them to push, and that software then keylogs everything that they do or steals their web browser session, sends it back to home base, and then they hack that creator's account. This just happened to Craig Adams, and he posted on his community tab, "My channel was hacked on February 17th by a scumbag trying to make money with a cryptocurrency scam. I lost complete control of the channel. They deleted all of my videos and started live streaming videos with thumbnails of my old podcast. Everything looks good now, and I should be back to 100% normalcy soon. My videos are safe, and I am taking new safeguards with my Google account in general. For people wondering, I have had two-factor on since 2015, but this hack is something that bypasses even that. Special thanks to my YouTube friends who helped me fix this quickly. You know who you are. More information coming soon. Sorry for anyone who was confused during this all. Can't wait to get back on the trail. Haha. So it seems that Craig was doing everything correctly. He had two-factor authentication on. He had that turned on since 2015, yet this hack bypassed even 2FA or MFA, multi-factor authentication. I don't know if this was because he downloaded a piece of software that somebody wanted him to advertise, and then they stole all his credentials and his web browser session with the two-factor authentication login already. I don't know all of the specifics, but I believe that's what it was. I've heard a number of people talking about this. I think John Prosser from Front Page Tech also had a run-in like this with an antivirus company trying to steal his login information to his YouTube channel and then live stream this cryptocurrency crap. So I want to take this moment to plead with creators. Do not download a single effing thing from a company that does not have a proven track record that you have never heard of, regardless of the amount of money they are offering to pay you to do so. If you don't know who this company is, why are you going to download their software, put it on your computer where you have all of your personal information, and then just assume that nothing bad will happen? I am going to offer somewhat of a hot take here because I know this is a very touchy subject for a lot of creators. I am going to say, do not advertise any company that you yourself would not feel comfortable using or that you yourself would not use if you were in that demographic. The reason this is a hot take is because there are plenty of creators out there who believe that even if you would not use a product, you should still be able to advertise for them. And to a certain extent, I agree. That's why I said, do not advertise a company that you yourself would not feel comfortable using. Not that you yourself would not use, but something that you yourself would not be comfortable using. You as a creator have a responsibility to ensure that anything that you're pushing to your audience is not going to be harmful to them. The number of creators who pushed that better health thing, or push these gambling websites, or push these shady-seeming VPNs or antivirus softwares is insane. The fact that some of these creators are willing to push this shady crap to their audience and essentially sell them out to the highest bidder is extremely disheartening to me. You should not be willing to betray your audience's trust. The only reason you have a following is because your audience is following you. You should respect them for being that way, for doing that, for supporting you. For a few bucks you sell them out, that makes you a complete and utter scumbag, and I lose so much respect for you. I am waiting. This is me being completely paranoid and speculative, and this is no reflection on the actual companies. I don't know if any of this is true. I am waiting for the day that the news articles come out with the titles Raid Shadow Legends Data Breach or Honey Data Breach, or Raid Shadow Legends and Honey found selling your personal information. I'm not saying that will happen. That's just me being paranoid. Me saying I would never download Raid Shadow Legends. I would never download Honey and install that on my browser. So I would never advertise for either of those companies, no matter how much money they offered me. Because if I would not feel comfortable using it, I don't think I should say, well, you know what? I'm not comfortable using it, but they paid me a lot of money, so you go download it. I don't trust these companies and what they will do with my data, but I don't care about you or your data. You go give up all your crap. No, I have a responsibility, and I have spent so much time and energy developing a level of trust with my audience that I would not betray that for some crappy advertisement. And the people that do, I lose respect for them, and I would argue that you need to do a better job because you have a responsibility to ensure that what you are promoting, what you are advertising, does not have a negative impact on the people who are downloading it based on your recommendation. You may be thinking, what about television ads? They advertise all sorts of stuff. Yeah, they do. But I am almost certain that there are departments that verify the companies they are advertising for to ensure that that company does not have a negative impact on the people that they are advertising to. We as content creators online and YouTubers and podcasters, do not have a department that does due diligence for us, so we, as those creators, as those direct contacts with these companies, are the ones who have to do our due diligence and ensure that we aren't harming our audience. That is it. That's my rant. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of Raid Shadow Legends. I'm sick of Honey. I'm sick of all the VPN services. Knock it off. If you won't download it, if you won't use it yourself, don't advertise it. And even if you are just a stupid person who will use any app that's promoted to you, maybe you still shouldn't be promoting it. Because if it is a free app, remember this saying: if you are not paying for a product, you are the product. Why are you turning your audience into the product for some company? Some random company that gave you $200 to advertise for them. Knock it off. Now let's jump to what you had to say, and the first comment comes from listen_good. They say, funny how government regulation on standard media allows actors to promote products that they have never used and can tell you how unhappy you'll be without it. The standard isn't standardized. Listen good, thank you very much for that comment. I think you raise a very interesting topic of discussion here. I think there is quite a difference between television and film marketing and online content creator marketing, and that's why we see the different standards across the mediums. First off, television has been around for, 70 years? They have been advertising that entire time, and the advertising on television has become extremely regulated. Therefore, they have already worked out a lot of the kinks that we are now seeing in online content creation. As far as film advertising, yeah, we may see product placement in The Avengers or Amadeus or There Will Be Blood, but people don't go and watch these films to determine the quality of that product. They don't go and watch There Will Be Blood to determine if the SM7B is a good microphone. They will go to YouTube and Google and just the internet in general to find reviews of that product to determine if it's something that they want. But then when we look at online content creators, sometimes it's much more difficult to determine when something is a paid advertisement and when something is an honest impression or opinion about a product. That's what the FTC seems to be focused on. They want to make sure that if something is a paid advertisement, it is disclosed in that post or in the video. And when it is an honest opinion, you can say, well, they didn't disclose it, so it must be an honest opinion. They want to create this framework that allows the consumer to understand if what they are watching and the opinion they are getting is honest or if it is just an advertisement. So I think there is a big difference between television and film and online content creators, because with online content creators, the relationship between the creator and the audience is much more intimate, for lack of a better word. There's far less barriers, so you feel much more like they're your friend, and that makes it easier for a creator or somebody advertising something to manipulate you. And I think the FTC might be smart enough to realize that, and maybe that's what they're trying to do. But I do think it could be a relatively good thing to establish that framework that allows uneducated consumers or audience members who aren't aware of all the controversy around this to very easily determine this is an ad or this is not an ad. That will make it much easier for them to make informed purchasing decisions, which I support as long as the FTC does it right. I appreciate the comment, and I think that is a very interesting topic that we may have to revisit in the future. Thank you very much, Listen Good. Next comment comes from Echo Berries. She says, standing seats for airplanes are already in the works. God, no. Just please no.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I refuse to believe that your statement is correct. Echo Berries, how dare you? ruin my idea of flying. I already hate flying. How could they make it any worse? Make you stand for 5 hours. Sounds good. I wouldn't be surprised if this does roll out, but I sincerely hope that you are lying and just trolling me and trying to trigger me. I hope that is what is happening because, God, that would be the dumbest thing ever. But if anybody out there works for the airlines, let me know in the comments or shoot me an email at askbandrew.com. I would love to hear from you and see if that is a thing or not. I appreciate you. Now let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. Alrighty, if you have any questions, you can head over to askbandrew.com, and it has all the instructions on how to send in an email, send in an audio, or send in a video clip asking questions, and if you do, you will most likely be featured on an upcoming episode of the podcast. First email comes from Hades Stamps. He says, "Hi, I'm not Tim, but when mic fails are found, they must be shared. One of titled Don't Be This Idiot because the studio is supposed to look professional, other than the Blue Yeti clearly pointed the wrong flippin' direction, and then of course, side addressed chopped liver, Blue Yeti Pro, but 135 degrees off axis. Hades Stamps, thank you for sending this in. Let me walk you through the pictures that he sent in. The first one is the classic Blue Yeti microphone fail. Somebody having the mic set up, speaking into the top of it. What an idiot. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. Just look at the freaking packaging. Look at the documentation. It will take you 30 seconds to determine this is the correct side to speak into the microphone. I want the best sound. I will speak into the correct side of the microphone. Your TPS reports do not have the cover sheet. Didn't you get that memo? I'll go ahead and send the memo again. The second picture he sent is somebody speaking into the Blue Yeti at the rear of it at about 130 degrees. The second picture might actually not be a fail. It's possible that it's in omnidirectional mode or maybe bidirectional mode, and they're using a little bit of a trick where you rotate the Blue Yeti a little bit to reduce some of the higher frequencies and get a slightly darker sound. A lot of studio engineers do that with microphones, rotate it maybe a little bit to get a slightly different tone depending on the voice. I highly doubt that's what's actually happening here. I am guessing that this is just a stupid promotional photo and they wanted the big blue logo on the front of the mic to be visible. That's my take on it, but regardless, both are setting bad examples. Show people using the microphone correctly, please and thank you, Blue. Thank you. Blue. Oh, you're the... Next, we got a voice submission from Ping Pong. Take it away, Ping Pong.
Hey, Bandrew. Hope you're having a good day. My name's Jin, but I go by Ping Pong over in the Discord server. Yesterday, which is Thursday the 13th, I posted a picture of my Sennheiser MD421-2 that I got for $7 at it's called Value Village. It's like a thrift store. My question is, what is the best deal, or rather steal in my case, you ever gotten on a piece of audio equipment?
Ping pong! That is insane. $7 for a 421 is bonkers. That's a what, $400 microphone new? And you got it for $7? If I'm remembering correctly, he got a call from one of his family members at the shop, and they had taken a photo and said, "Hey, do you want this? It's only $7. And he looked it up and said, "Yes, buy that now." What an amazing find. As far as steals for me, I don't think I have anything 1/10 as good as that because I don't typically search for or buy used audio gear. I had to think for a while, and I think the best steal that I had, oh my gosh, I almost dropped it. The best steal that I have is the Universal Audio UAD2 Satellite Thunderbolt 3 DSP Accelerator. This is a $900 or $1,100 Thunderbolt 3 device, connects to your computer, and provides you additional processing power for the Universal Audio plugins. And the reason this is a steal for me is I got it for free. Universal Audio does this maybe once a year. They run a sale where if you buy one of their rack mount interfaces, they will send you one of their satellites for free. And I waited the longest time to be able to take advantage of this sale. Back in 2017 or 2018, I was ready to buy the rack mount Thunderbolt 2 version of the UAD stuff. But then I saw the Arrow come out and I realized, okay, they're starting to go Thunderbolt 3. I'm waiting for the next iteration of this device where it's Thunderbolt 3 so I can get that instead. It took them about another year to announce that, and then I had to wait maybe 6 to 10 more months until the sale that offered the free satellite with it. So I waited about 2 years to actually take advantage of that sale and get the one that I wanted, but eventually I did. And yeah, I spent a lot of money on the X8, but I got an $1,100 device for free because of it. So that's my best deal, but it's not the same. It's not the same as finding a $500 microphone for $7 and buying that. I would much rather have found that. Let me explain why I don't buy used gear that much. When I do reviews, I need to ensure that the gear I'm reviewing is in tip-top shape, that it is an accurate representation of what somebody will get if they were to buy it new. With used gear, I don't know how the previous owner treated that piece of gear and if it's going to be in fully working order. So I simply limit myself to buying only new gear to review unless it's a vintage out of production piece of equipment like the Shure SM7 that I am using right now. But what an amazing find. I am so happy for you and you sound great on it. Best of luck to you, Ping Pong, in your future recordings. Absolute legend. And I think that is going to wrap up for today. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening. If you are not watching the video version of this show, I have finally taken down the Neumann U87, and I am on the Shure SM7, an American-made one from 1975, I think it is, maybe 1978. And let me know what you think. I am running it in neutral mode. I won't be doing any kind of EQ. I will be doing compression, all of that stuff. And I will likely throw on a high-pass filter as well. But thank you so much for coming by and listening and watching this week's episode of the Bandrew Says Podcast, episode 204. Until next week, I hope you have an amazing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on next Sunday, I hope you're ready because we're going to have a crazy one like we always do. Crazy times, fun times. I love you all. Talk to you next week. Goodbye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.